Welcome to another episode of the PDS Live.
Nice. We're live.
All right, talk some more, Kirk. I think I need to turn you up.
I have audio somewhere turned on. Yep, there it is. Fixed it.
All right, introduce the show so I can mess with your levels.
Welcome, guys. We are the Podcast Discovery Show. If this is the first time that you've tuned in, we are a podcast that's about other podcasts.
Of the PDS Live.
Every single week, we do a deep dive discussion into a podcast we recommended the week before.
All right, talk some more, Kirk. I think I need to turn.
And
I'm definitely hearing all of that.
What are you hearing?
Are you playing that somewhere? All right, introduce the show so
Nope.
I can mess with your levels. Oh no, I am.
Guys, we are the
No, but that
Don't
means it's
blame
coming
me.
through the
This is
stream.
first time that you... That's a good thing. But don't blame me. It wasn't me. Mine did come on first, so I did the same thing.
Yep, no, it was mine. I got rid of it though. It was me testing the YouTube.
All right, I actually did test the Facebook and the Twitch, so we're all good. Of course, if it's right on one, it should be right on all of them.
Yeah, it should be pretty much the same.
The way that this works.
All
So,
right, I think we're set.
with that said, let me close this, and we are ready to talk about Summer Podcast.
So yeah, I'll throw out the intro again because I think that one had you talking over yourself because I could hear it on desktop audio. So we're the Podcast Discovery Show. Each week we have a book club style discussion about a podcast, and we basically just really like podcasts. We like talking about them. We wanted a chance to dig into some random shows and discover new ones together. So we'll record that first. This week we're talking about a show called Homemade, which is a show by All Recipes. And then we'll recommend an episode of a new show to check out for next week. And then after we do that episode, we are going to record the other Discovery show. So a show about all of our other discoveries throughout the week. And then after that, we're going to play video games.
We're going to play some games with some friends. And it's going to be a great time because that's what we do on Friday nights is we hang out with our friends. We can't do it in person, so we're going to do it online. And we really enjoy it. I really do enjoy playing the games on Friday nights with the buds.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, do you think we should record this separately or just...
I don't think it's necessary. I don't think we're going to end up doing anything with it.
Not yet. I have a couple things I'm looking into, but there's not a whole lot we'd be able to add to it yet.
Mm-hmm. So I guess it's up to you. If you think that you want to be able to go back and add things to it later on, then sure. But if you want to just start from when you find the things that you want to get done, then maybe we can do that. It's up to you. I don't care either way.
Yeah, and I mean, we've been keeping it fairly tight anyways. You know, we take a break between gaming, so it would just be like all the PDS episodes, like one thing.
Yeah.
And we could even like timestamp the YouTube video. That would be the easiest way to do it, is go onto the live stream, like video that gets captured, timestamp it with Todd starts here type thing. Okay, well, cool.
Yeah, so we're ready. Let me get the 10 seconds of silence. And then I'll intro PDS. Hey, y'all. This is the Homemade Podcast Discovery Show, where every single week we homemade a podcast about other podcasts. And this week, our homemade podcast is about the podcast Homemade. Zach, tell me about this podcast.
Do I have to use a ridiculous Southern accent? Is that part of it? No, she does have a very strong
I love it. I love it. It
Yeah.
reminds me of my granny.
Yeah, it definitely reminds me of family gatherings. Yeah, I felt very comfortable listening the whole time.
Sorry, she just had such a rich Southern accent. It's like Paula Dean minus the racism. That's great.
Yeah, something like that. I think that's how it's described on her like LinkedIn profile.
I like Paula Dean minus the racism.
But yeah, this week we're talking about an All Recipes sponsored show called Homemade. And they have interviewed a lot of pretty large name celebrity chefs and things like that. The one that I was on the fence about talking about, well, we've talked about him a lot kind of in general on Todd's and everything else, is Guy Fieri did an episode.
Guy Fieri.
That was really, it's really good too. You know, he talked about, I think we talked about on last episode, he talked about his, I think they call it red eye gravy. That's like you deglaze with black coffee. And like
That's so weird.
It sounds kind of good, honestly. And he was talking about doing it with like grits, ham and grits and red eye gravy. It sounds pretty good. And I don't think he is Southern. He has adopted the Southernness because it's delicious. But yeah, no, it's a really cool show. But on this episode, she talks to Chef John, who has a very famous YouTube cooking channel called Food Wishes. And
this has got like 3.5 million subscribers.
Yeah, he's been around for a really long time. Like I had heard of, we talked about him before. He has like a cadence in his videos.
Yes.
And it literally is like no bells and whistles at all. It's very kind of, honestly, it's kind of a cool way to learn cooking though, because he even talks about in the episode, he doesn't like speeding up like the stirring. So like it'll be like more drawn out, and like if you're supposed to stir for a while, he's stirring for a while. It's not like he's like jump cutting so that it seems like a real snappy, like quick transition video. He's cooking. He's actually cooking. And anybody who's done a lot of cooking knows that it's a time thing. It's kind of in general, it's a slowish process, especially when you're prepping and things like that.
So I watched just a couple of his videos just in research for this episode tonight, and it's funny that he talked about not having measurements, and you know he talks about it, but then when you watch one of his videos, you see him not measure stuff. He just throws it in a bowl, and you're like, dang it, I want to be able to do this. And I would be of course I would overthink how much he was putting in.
Here's the thing though, the way that you learn to do that is by doing that.
But it's so true. Like I remember I tried to get my grandma to tell me and to show me, and I was trying to videotape it and everything, the how to make tamales.
I was about to say, are you going to say the English version of tamales on here?
I feel ashamed. And it would be, she would keep like scooping lard out with her hand, like just scooping it out of the tub of it. I'm like, Abuelita, how much is that? And she's like, 1 scoop. And I'm like, okay, I write it down, because I was writing it down. I'm like, okay, it's 1 grandma hand-sized scoop of lard.
Honestly, that's not a terrible measurement. No, you get a lot from like consistency and from the look and feel of what you're making. And so how many times would you estimate she has made tamales? Because it's something that's like, okay, it's generally a holiday thing every year.
I was gonna say at least probably 3 times a year, 3 times around the holidays, 3 or 4 batches every year.
No, I mean, I still to this day look forward to Christmas time, because I know, and last year I got to come to the Christmas party and I got loaded up with tamales, and she sent them home with me. And I think it's because, I guess I've known you for a really long time, and so I've been around these get-togethers for a really long time, and I think she has seen the pure quantity that I can eat at these at these things, and so she has gathered through that time that I'm a fan. And so I get sent home with a leftover plate now.
Like, he gets it. He gets it.
Which I really appreciate, because it's incredible. But no, it's a really cool style of cooking, because it does kind of feel like that. It feels like you're watching like your buddy teach you how to cook, or like some like a relative is teaching you how to cook. And the thing is, he talks about a lot in this, that was kind of how he learned to cook. His family members, he would watch them cook, but things would change day to day. They would change based on what ingredients they had. Even like red sauce. He said that basically every Sunday they would make red sauce.
Yeah, he called it Sunday sauce.
Yeah, and he also said that it changed all the time. There wasn't like a hardline recipe for what was in this. It was what was available, or what did they have. And then you sit down and you make it. And so it really kind of comes through in how he has put together his channel, is that style of cooking is how he learned, and that's what he's also using to teach.
Yeah, and he talked about, specifically you're talking about red sauce, he talked about one of his favorite, just like at the house dishes to make, is essentially
Are you talking about
a
the tuna
red
one?
sauce with tuna. And
he did not sell me on that, I'll be honest. That sounds weird.
I think it sounds awesome. So I don't think that red eye gravy sounds good, but this sounds good to me. But Yeah, I
I
thought
don't
it
know.
sounded.
It's mainly just because
interesting.
canned tuna is just a strong flavor. Like you gotta murder it with some stuff to make it not taste like canned tuna. But in general, this show is a lot about kind of their culture in cooking, how they learn to cook, what they like to do, and then he also is kind of an early adopter of YouTube as a video platform for this. And he talked about because he was trained in culinary
I was
school.
gonna say he's actually been trained as a chef, not just.
And at some point he was in school, and because it was a large class size, they couldn't all see like what the chef was doing as he was teaching. So you could see all these like different techniques and things if you could see them up close. But instead, they essentially put a giant TV behind him so that everybody sitting in the audience could see what he was doing. He's like, why not just take out the like being here part of this? Like, why not just watch the TV? $30,000. Yeah. Let's just watch the TV and I'll teach the same thing. And then it's funny because if you look at his channel and you look at all the videos, you have more intense things. You know, he does a lot of international foods that are pretty technically difficult. He does a lot of things that you learn like a skill set. And he does a lot of things you can tell it's like he was trained in culinary school and it's an advanced thing and he will teach you how to do that. And then he will also do like me and Kirk were talking about, he has Nashville hot chicken on there. He has calzones. He has all kinds of just random stuff that's fun to eat. And then he has the one that I looked up is that he called it Cornell chicken. They called it firehouse chicken apparently, but it was developed by a professor at Cornell, and it has like vinegar and egg in it. It's like a white barbecue sauce, and it looks really good. But it basically is just a really cool way to kind of pick up some general knowledge about cooking and some almost like theory, because you can kind of work through how he's thinking about it rather than like do XXX. It's more like here's the idea, but it's all very more like casual than a lot of the cooking shows you'll see.
Yeah, I mean, he did throw a little bit of shade at America Test Kitchen.
Oh, they're very not casual.
How not casual they are, and they're specifically like using a yardstick to get the exact measurement of dough before you start folding it in and stuff like that. I think that there's a happy balance, and he seems like he's on the other end. I'm probably somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, no, I'd say I'm somewhere in the middle because like there's parts of, and he talks about on the show, there's parts of baking that if you just start going like, oh, I'm gonna feel this out, you're gonna mess it up. Like it's very precise on some elements of it, but then like cooking a lot of times I like to be more wing it style. I feel like you're less likely to ruin it than with baking.
I was actually watching Top Chef today, and that's what I've always thought was crazy is they'll just give them a bunch of ingredients. I'm like, hey, just make something, and they start making this ridiculous dish, and they say all these words that I've never heard before. None of the dishes have words that I know, and they look amazing, but it's like, how did you make that just at the top of your head, and you had like an hour to make it? It's always been crazy to me.
Yeah, no, I think it comes down to a lot of the stuff that he's like demonstrating. Once you start to think about things as what role is this playing in the dish, then you can like substitute different things in. You know, once you kind of learn like basics of how you do it, then you can start mix and matching things, and you figure out things that work well together and all of that. But no, it's really cool. His channel is really cool. I highly recommend everybody check it out. You can learn cool stuff. I want to learn how to make hot chicken. I saw it on there, and I feel like anytime I think about hot chicken, I want hot chicken. We have a pretty good place down here, but it's not the same.
Can you tell them the story about when I ate hot chicken for the first time?
Do you want me to tell them that story?
Yeah, you go ahead and tell
Okay,
them
sure.
the story.
So the third brother, not Josh, but Gabe lives in Nashville. And so we went up there and we kept telling Kirk, like, every time me and Josh go to visit Gabe, we're like, okay, so when is hot chicken? Because I can't think of the last time I went there and did not have it. And there was like 1 month where it was a long story, but I ended up spending every other weekend in Nashville for a month and a half. And I had hot chicken every single time. But we took Kirk up there to go see Mabim Bam. That was Mabim Bam, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so we went to go see a live recording of Mabim Bam at the Ryman. And so that was a part of it. But Kirk is not super high on really spicy food.
Not really. I mean, I like the flavor, but the heat, it gets me sometimes.
Yeah, and it got him this time.
I got the most mild version of it.
Yeah.
Not like the kiddie version, but the
No,
mild.
but okay. So for some reference, the most mild version of hot chicken in Nashville is hotter than any hot chicken I've had down
It's hotter
here.
than anything I've ever eaten before ever in my life.
Like, it is not a joke. I have never seen one person eat the hottest level of hot chicken at that place. You're just asking for it. It's going to be painful. Because this is like, I usually get, it depends on how I feel, because sometimes you get a medium that's tending towards low, like a medium level that's tending towards the step above, like hot, and it goes up to 3x, and I think 3x means you're literally going to die. But I a lot of times we get medium so that it's hot, but it's not like I need to lay down and recover. So we eat our hot chicken, and first of all, Kirk can attest to this because it tastes amazing. It's really hot,
so good.
but it is next level delicious fried chicken. So Kirk eats this, and we could tell something was going wrong pretty much immediately. We go outside, and Kirk is holding on to someone's shoulder like he's had too much to drink. And
I felt drunk, physically dizzy, and I broke out in this really bad sweat.
yeah, he was starting to get the hot sweats for sure.
I had never felt that way because of how hot something was. And what was weird is it was after I'd eaten it. It wasn't like during, although I was, having the sweats when I was eating, but it was crazy. I felt real weird. And that was the first time that spice had hit me like that.
Yeah, and he was messed up, and other things happened later that you could expect, but
oh yeah,
it had an immediate and drastic impact on Kirk, but it's very delicious.
You warned me about the aftermath as well, and yeah, you weren't wrong.
Well, usually the aftermath is not 7 minutes after you have it. Like, that was the really impressive part. By the time we got home, it was like Kirk disappeared for 30 minutes, and he came out looking like he'd just seen a ghost. But yeah, hot chicken is great. I don't know. You wanted me to tell that story. But yeah, then you get to kind of homemade in the show. And so she likes to dig into all of your background and how all this got started. But then she also likes to get kind of food tips along the way. She definitely nabbed his what was it, cabbage roll recipe.
Ah, yes, I was gonna mention that.
Which actually sounds pretty good. I could go for that.
Yes, it does. It sounds like, okay, let's be honest. It sounds like Italian enchiladas.
Yeah, kind of.
Like it's enchiladas.
I don't think it's necessarily Italian though. Was the thing.
Well, like I'm saying, because they have like a red sauce on top of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like a spaghetti sauce on top of a roll of cabbage that has meat inside. So instead of tortillas, you have cabbage, and then you have, I don't know. It sounds awesome, but definitely something I'd never heard of before.
Yeah, no, it sounds delicious. But yeah, she has a really cool format where it's very conversational and she really breaks down stuff with everybody, but she gets to some pretty cool topics, especially because Chef John's an interesting guy. So he talked about a lot of kind of cool stuff because he was a pretty early adopter on YouTube. So he's kind of seen the rise and fall, and literally how he got his first break was literally getting featured on like the YouTube front page. He saw that was his big spike from, I think he was like at maybe like tens of thousands type numbers of subscribers and went to like close to 1 million or like upper hundreds because of that one moment.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think they still do it. I don't know exactly how it works. I think it's more algorithm based now than it is just kind of like curated.
Yeah. And I love how he talked about the first camera he had. You know, that ball camera that everyone visualizes as the old school webcam. That was his first camera that he had, and using like really crappy software to edit and stuff like that. And I just love how he basically was a pioneer of the, because he's talking about literally, he was talking about almost late 90s, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Which is, I didn't even know YouTube was a thing yet.
I don't know the exact timeline on it anymore. That's the thing, is like I thought I knew. I thought it was early 2000s, but by by mid 2000s, it was pretty well developed. It was stupid. Like, it was, the content available was pretty stupid at the time. We've talked about that many times, where like what was available on the internet at the beginning was pretty stupid.
Yeah. So that's, yeah, no, YouTube didn't come out till 2005. So he must have been doing something else or something.
Yeah, maybe he was putting it online, but not on YouTube.
Yeah. I knew that didn't sound right or feel right. But yeah, he was a very early adopter to the medium of putting these videos on the internet.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes a lot more sense, because even if he started in 2005, if you hit early on YouTube, it is now the platform it is now. Where if you were able to establish a foothold in 2005, you're good. You're good to go.
Yeah. And then she was asking him about what dish did she want to make. Oh, salmon patties.
Mm-hmm.
Or what did he call them? Salmon cakes?
I think you call them salmon cakes, yeah.
We call them salmon patties as well. That's what my family calls them. My mom makes them. They're good. They're not my favorite, but they're good. But she was saying how she could never make it like her mom made it, and she's tried for like 15 years to make them like her mom made them. And he said something that kind of stuck with me, and it made me think about, past experiences with food. And he said the missing ingredient is probably your mom, like that memory that you have with your mom, and you've got this memory with that food that you will never be able to replicate, because it's more about the memory than it is even about the recipe. And he has an analogy where he says, you have a couple that goes to Paris and eats crepes in Paris, and they say, I've always wanted to make the crepes that were just like the ones we had in Paris on our honeymoon. And he's like, almost every crepe recipe is exactly the same. It's not the crepes, it's that you're not, in Paris in this romantic environment on your honeymoon that makes them, that's what's missing is that. And so he talks about food memories, like memories with a specific food that probably you would never be able to recreate and would never be the same. And I wanted to ask you, what is a memory that you have that you think maybe, or maybe you've even experienced, could never probably be reproduced?
Yeah, and I mean, there's definitely one, like, because Mom used to make chili all the time, and I have tried to replicate that chili, and I cannot get it to taste the same. I'm pretty happy with, like, the chili I make, but like, it's not the same, and I think it could be that same thing where it's too tied to a memory. Another one that, like, I haven't ever tried to make it because it's not something I would do all the time, but we took our trip to the Northwest a couple of years ago, and I ate in Seattle at Pike's Place Market. I ate salmon chowder while it was lightly Seattle raining on us, looking out over the Sound, and it was like, it's that bowl of soup is very tied to, like, the atmosphere of that entire moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a really good one. Two of the things that I thought about, and it's funny because one of them is salmon. Me and Jenny and my dad and some of his friends went to Alaska fishing for salmon, and one of the guys was Japanese, and so we catch a salmon, and I actually had never even had sushi before, like, ever, anywhere. And he goes upstairs, kills the salmon, cuts the salmon open, and then slices it, and we have sushi, like, within 10 minutes of it being caught in this, like, frigid cold river. And that's when I started loving sushi. And of course, no sushi's ever been the same.
Yeah, I don't think it can live up to that freshness level.
Yeah, but that was one of the ones. And also, and this has something to do with traveling as well, when I went to Spain to visit my aunt, they're famous for their tapas and, all these small plates, and they just have this amazing jamon, this ham that's thinly sliced, it's cured, and it's just, I can still taste it in my brain. It's like this buttery, fat, amazing ham, and they sell stuff at Publix and other places, even at Whole Foods, that looks the same, and you eat it and it kind of takes you back, but you're like, man, it's just, I think a lot of it just has to do with the memory.
Yeah, no, and I mean, honestly, that's kind of cool, and he said another thing on there where he's like, I kind of like keeping the magic in there, where he doesn't want to know all the answers on like why everything is the way that it is. And I do think that it's cool to have some magic around some special like meals, some special moments that were you can remember the food as part of it too.
Yeah, so I think that we maybe need to record making one of these dishes, because it sounds, we got to find a dish. I know I'm going to find a dish and I'm going to replicate it. I'm going to look it up and I'm going to do it. I'm going to follow his instructions. And I think it would be awesome because, like he said, people have called or emailed him and stuff and commented saying, hey, we turned you on the TV and me and my kids, we made this following your instructions. And I think that would be so cool. Find
so you're
a
saying
dish.
we need to do a PDS tribute to Chef John where we make something.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm down for that. We just need to decide what it is.
We can only show our hands, though. We can only do our hands. We can't show our faces.
No, I mean, that's fairly common. I mean, Bobbish does the same thing, where it's just like hands.
Yeah. Oh, and we have to make sure that we have like a sing-songy
Yeah, no, we can do that
to
too.
our voices.
We can do that too, 100%. But yeah, in general, I really like the show. There's a lot of really good episodes out there that you can check out with a lot of cool people that are talking about things. And generally, you can learn a little bit about cooking. You can learn a little bit about the person doing the cooking, and it's just
All Recipes is a really cool website to find recipes on.
Cannot tell you how many times I've used All Recipes.
I have used it a lot.
Several
I've got a profile on there
billion.
and everything. Where I kind of save all of my recipes that I've found that I liked. And I actually, speaking of other episodes, I was listening to it while I was like doing a few things, and so it just played the next episode, and it was another YouTuber, which she doesn't do all YouTube people, but it ended up being another person that's big on YouTube, and she tries all these like very traditional type foods that are usually pretty sketchy, like scary.
Mm-hmm.
Like they played audio from her trying the she basically buried an egg in her yard just like they do in Japan.
Oh, like the 1,000-year egg or whatever they call that.
Yeah, and she tried it on there, and it was interesting. It sounds like a really good channel to watch someone try these foods. She said, as long as there's like a history and a tradition behind it, she would try anything. And so
she is braver than I am. I could not eat that egg. Just literally, there's no way I could get it down.
I don't think I could either. There's a lot. I think I would try almost anything. That's one that I don't think. That one and the fermented herring?
Yeah, surströmming or whatever from Norway?
Could...
It's one of the Scandinavian countries. It's like
just thinking about it.
It's rotten fermented fish, and like apparently even opening it around like other people, like not like open air, you're not supposed to do it. It's in bad taste because it smells like death.
I don't think I could do that.
I literally don't think I could get some of these things down. Andrew Zimmern, basically anything he's ever eaten, I don't think I could eat it.
Oh god, yeah, he would eat some gnarly stuff.
But yeah, that sounds cool too. But yeah, it's a really great show. It's a really great show if you're all interested in kind of listening to some chefs that you might have heard of, maybe you didn't. You can discover some new people and you can learn a little bit about their process and learn a little bit about cooking.
Yep. Great recommendation, Zach. So what do you have for next week?
So this week was about cooking. Next week is about quarantine cooking. Not really. It's about frozen potato products. There's a show called Doughboys. It's a pretty big podcast, and I've been looking at it for a little bit now about kind of just thinking when we want to do it. It's very conversational and goofy because it's two comedians doing it, and the premise of the show is two guys review chain restaurants, but they're, I think, hundreds of episodes in, and so they are now moving on to just any kind of.
So you're talking about like Applebee's, Chili's?
I believe that's how it started. Is like you go like try out Burger King and figure out what your favorite stuff is at Burger King. But now they've kind of moved on to they do kind of themes. And so I found an episode that I think you are going to like because it's a callback to a fairly recent episode. It is called Topical Freeze. Orida. So like the frozen potato stuff.
Yeah.
With Jason Mantzoukas.
Oh man, Jason Mantzoukas. Hey, I watched John Wick 3 last night for the first time. Did you know he's in that?
I did not.
He's a bum in that.
He's a bum in that. Of course he is.
He plays a great bum.
That's hilarious. I want someone to find a way to tie all of his characters throughout everything he's been in to one person that just moves around between worlds.
I think he may have like one line. I think it's like TikTok, Mr. Wick. That's it. But I'm like, hey, that's Jason Mantzoukas.
I want to see if we can get just that soundbite so that we can put it on next week's episode. But yeah, in this episode, they all buy their favorite, or just not their favorite, but they buy some Orida potato products to try out and figure out which one's the best. And then it's also very conversational and goofy, and they're all funny.
Yeah, and I'm sure it gets a little raunchy if Jason Mantzoukas is in it.
There are moments of that, yes.
He's a funny guy.
Yeah. But yeah, we will talk about that next week, and we will talk frozen potatoes. And remember.
All right.
And
There's
remember.
Always.
And remember. Here, let's try again. Stop. And remember.
There's always more to discover.
Nailed it.
Let's see.
No, it's so much more difficult when we're not in like the same room. Because we never had.
Did I ever forget it when we were in the same room? No, I think I did once at least.
I mean, it's. You didn't like
Maybe
completely
that's
forget it this week. I feel like last week you like made up a new tagline.
I don't remember what I don't. Oh,
You're like,
yeah,
zippity zoppity, see you next week. It's like,
I didn't say that.
what? Yeah, there's Josh. Stay frosty. Yeah.
Stay frosty.
Yeah, we were listening to some old episodes, and we definitely saw that was a thing for a while.
Yep, and Zach with his names at the beginning of the show, like Back and Zach, Men and Zach.
No, I didn't do Back and Zach. I did Zach and Black. Because I didn't
Zach
want...
and Black.
No, but yeah, I saved all the more disturbing ones, like all the Men in Black movies, to. No, the other guy in Doughboys. Have you seen the episode where they're trying to get the guy who's a mob boss and his nephew's like an idiot and like lost his Rolls Royce? One of the hosts of Doughboys is that idiot from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. All right, well, we are going to take about a 2-minute break, and we're going to get all our notes together for the other Discovery show, where we're going to talk about everything else that we discovered throughout the week. And we will be right back. Thank you, everybody, for joining. If anybody had any cool discoveries throughout the week, throw them in chat, and you're going to get a special live discovery just from you on this week's episode. I mean, is it a PDS beanie if I just got it at Walmart and it was $3 and it's black? Because I mean, yeah, if I can mark those things up. I'll get them from Walmart, sell them for $10. You'll be a billionaire. No, I wish we had beanies. We'll have to talk to Richie about that. But yeah, thanks everybody for checking out the stream. We really appreciate it, and we are going to be right back.
We're good.
And we are back.
Oh. I made the mistake of turning the audio on one of these again earlier.
Wait.
Oh, it's because when I couldn't hear you.
Oh, you heard us come back?
Yeah. We are back, and we are ready to do the other Discovery Show. The podcast that's not about other podcasts. It's about all the other things.
Yep. That'll sound real familiar in about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
But yeah, if anybody has any cool discoveries they made this week, just throw them in chat. We'd love to give you a shout out.
Yeah, we have a few good ones in the Podcast Discovery Club over on Facebook, but there's one that I want to really talk about, but I want to watch what Keith was talking about first. I want to watch those 10 minutes of that show before we discuss it.
Yeah,
maybe we can watch episode 1 at lunch one day this week.
Yeah.
Before the next recording. I think actually that John said he had been watching it, that show.
Has
I
he?
didn't even know that was the one that Keith had recommended.
Yeah, no, John has seen a lot of shows.
Yeah. All right. Everyone needs to start making sweet tea at home. It's changed my life.
You and your sweet tea. By the way, my grandparents were very happy. I need to just read you this text. So me and Kirk, last weekend, went on a beach vacation, and we were chilling all week. But it was a timeshare, so we stayed for like the first half. And then it was my grandparents' timeshare, so they like stayed for the second half. And we had a bunch of stuff that we took up there with us that we didn't want to try and take back because it was about 2.5 away from where we live. And my grandma texted me, "Zach, did you or Kirk leave a purple bath net sponge in the shower? By the way, we've enjoyed the Bluebell ice cream and tea. Thanks for leaving it. Quite a bit of rain today, but reading our Kindles and eating out." So they're having a good time. They're having a great time.
That was some bomb ice cream, man. That's the first time I had that ice cream.
Okay, bonus discovery. Bluebell pistachio almond ice cream is...
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Amazing.
So good.
Amazing ice cream. Yeah, we ate a fairly impressive amount. We thought that we were going to be able to get through a half gallon between the two of us in 3 days. We were not able to even get close to that, but it was a great challenge to try and fail.
Yeah. Because it was like, what, National Ice Cream Day or something?
Yeah, last Sunday. Yeah, we would have talked about it on our stream, but the internet was terrible.
Yeah, we tried to stream some Hearthstone, and it did not work. The internet did not. It was not ready for
Yeah, we had this awesome idea of like, oh, we're going to look out towards like the beach, and we're going to play some video games and talk about ice cream. Nope, couldn't do any of it. So we just did all that, but nobody got to join us for it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's get on Zencaster. Hit record. Give it 10 seconds. Starting now. Welcome to the Other Discovery Show, the podcast that's not about other podcasts. It's the bonus show from the Podcast Discovery Show, and it's about all of the other things that we've discovered throughout the week. I'm Kirk.
And I am Zach. And throughout this lockdown that is indefinite and has been a part of our lives for a minute, we've talked about, I've brought a lot of different times where I talked about historical hard time foods. And I've talked about different ways that people have accessed better food than the ingredients they had and when there was scarcity.
You taught us how to cook on a hoe.
Yeah, and that's an important life lesson. No, but I read another, and it had also been too long since I talked about Atlas Obscura, so I felt like I needed to bring it back. So they had an article that literally is about why we've seen such a resurgence of these types of different articles and this types of knowledge. So I'll just read you the first part of this because it's kind of interesting how they put it. People had spent months planning a murder mystery experience inside the Detroit Historical Museum. As the Detroit Historical Society's education programs coordinator and community outreach coordinator, They had imagined a party set at the height of Prohibition in 1926, where guests in period attire would enjoy cocktails and hors d'oeuvres while learning about Detroit's wild and woolly bootlegging days. But on the day the event was meant to take place, the state of Michigan handed down a different prohibition. Due to the spread of COVID-19, large gatherings were no longer permitted. Museums and historical societies across the country face a similar situation. By closing their doors and canceling long-planned programs, they lost their primary means of engaging their communities. So as cooking at home became increasingly important, many historical societies turned to sharing historical recipes from their archives. Though these cultural institutions don't normally focus on culinary matters, they found that food and drink offered a delicious distraction from the present. So a lot of these people that would have general kind of community engagement were then isolated, just like we all were, and they had no way to kind of reach out. And they also knew that, like, and I mean, the first thing on here is to drink. So the first thing is called the last word. 3/4 ounce lime juice, 3/4 ounce maraschino liqueur, 3/4 ounce gin, 3/4 ounce green chartreuse. Add ingredients to a shaker filled with ice, shake vigorously for 30 seconds, and strain. Delicious.
What is green chartreuse? I thought chartreuse was a color.
It is a color, and I actually looked this up because I was like, what is
green?
this?
Other color? What color is chartreuse?
Okay, so chartreuse is green-ish.
Is
it's
it?
Like a yellow-green color. But chartreuse, the liqueur, has been made by the Carthusian monks since 1737. And there was apparently a manuscript that detailed how to make this that was given to them in 1605.
Good God.
And it's named after the monks' Grand Chartreuse Monastery located in the Chartreuse Mountains in France. And the liquor is produced in their distillery in the nearby town of, I'm not even going to try and pronounce this French town name.
Nah, you have to.
Voiron. It is composed of distilled alcohol aged with 130 herbs and flowers. And it's one of a handful of liqueurs that continue to age and improve the bottle.
That's a lot of herbs.
Yeah. So I'm guessing it's kind of like kind of a gin type thing going on, or like almost like a vermouth or like a bitters where it's something very
floral.
herbal. Yeah.
Yeah. Herbal.
Yeah. No, I was curious about the same thing because like I'd heard about chartreuse, but I don't know, for some reason I was like I want to know more, and you did too, so it worked out. So
Josh says that he would drink a few of those and then start twerking.
Okay, well, we're going to ship some of those off to Josh. Yeah, no, KFC can't handle that. Can't handle that level. So that's the first thing they have on here. And I mean, I think we have the statistics now that during quarantine, people have been eating more. And which you would think we wouldn't, but we have been. I think it's comfort eating, boredom eating, whatever you want to call it. Like I don't know. I've eaten
depression
well.
eating.
I've been calling it the quarantine thickness because I feel like everybody's gotten it. Pretty much everyone I know that was ever once on keto is now going back on keto for some reason.
My brain wants to be back there, but my body says no. I can't. I don't know. I have not been able to get back on the wagon, man.
But yeah, no, it's basically just this really cool idea that even though these historical societies couldn't reach out in the way they normally would have, they knew that we were drinking and eating at home. And so they started going through their collection, because this is one of the things that has been preserved kind of throughout history is recipes, because people would try and replicate these things. So there's always been this collection of recipes. So it's a cool way for people to reach out and access history, and then also give something that people can do at home. And this made me think about, I do think that people are cooking more at home. We talked about on the podcast this week, the PDS, that a lot of people are cooking with their kids, and like people are learning to garden with their kids, and people are spending a lot of time with their family. They're growing. I don't know if there's ever been this resurgence in growing your own food since like World War II with the Victory Gardens. You know, I would be surprised if there has been a single time where there's been this kind of resurgence.
Yeah.
And then video games, obviously, blowing up. People are playing a lot of video games as a supplement to life things. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's what we're gonna be doing tonight. Play some video games with friends because we can't
inside.
go hang out with friends.
It's sort of like social interaction in a way. But yeah, no, it's just really cool to think about. Yeah, there's parts of this that are so draining at times, where it's you feel that isolation, and you feel that kind of like almost trapped into what you're doing. But there's been cool things that have come from it as well, and that was the kind of the track that this article sent me on, and we'll have all of these things listed in the show notes as always.
That's awesome. So I read this article this week about Hannibal Buress. He is a very good comedian. Like, that's what I know him from, is his stand-up. For a long time, this was back in the day when I would kind of sometimes not listen to podcasts, I'd listen to audiobooks, and then this was before Spotify. I used to listen to iHeartRadio, and you could get listen to a channel, and I listened to the comedy channel at times, and it would just be like bits and pieces of people stand up. It was great because you'd hear like kind of snippets of all these people stand up, and he was one of my favorite ones that I would hear all the time, was Hannibal Buress.
Yeah.
But he was in that movie Spider-Man Homecoming, and he kind of played this giant prank on everybody through Twitter, which is funny that people didn't catch on to it, but they really didn't. He sent an imposter to the Spider-Man Homecoming premiere. So basically, he didn't go. He found someone on social media. It says, in a series of since deleted tweets, he wrote Wednesday afternoon that he needed a quote-unquote look-alike with solid comedic timing for an event tonight. So basically, I guess that's why they didn't catch on, because he tweeted like a few, like, that night. So he needed someone immediately.
Yeah,
he also asked for photos and offered a $500 reward. So basically he's like, hey, I'll pay you $500 if you go to this premiere and act like you're me. So the dude that said yes was on the red carpet. He was seen, meeting people. He was taking selfies with people. He was even interviewed by some of the press that was there.
You'd think they'd at least know what he looks like.
In this article, they keep saying that he doesn't look anything like him. The guy's wearing large shades and has that kind of like mustache thing that he has. His face, he doesn't look very much like him, but he has just enough
if
that
you saw
with
him out
the
the corner of
shades
your
on.
eye, you might maybe think it was him.
Yeah. But it's just a great troll, and it's so funny because he's got pictures from the red carpet, and this guy, of course, is an aspiring actor and stuff like that from Nashville that was living in LA. But it was great. He even, like I said, it was even interviewed by reporters and everything. It was great.
Hannibal Buress is wild, man. He was he was the one that started the whole Bill Cosby thing, right?
No.
Yeah, he literally had he did this bit about he didn't want to hear Bill Cosby's crap, and he made this joke about him being the worst. People were like, wait, what? And I guess some people had heard about this. I feel like I had never heard about this until Hannibal Buress brought it up. And then the dominoes started, and he's in jail now. But literally it was because of Hannibal Buress roasting him for don't tell me how I need to act to be the right kind of black person. It's you're a garbage person. And he was right.
He was right.
In a way that nobody could have ever possibly understood.
Oh, yeah.
So I found something this week that I immediately wanted because, and Kirk, I think, will really understand and appreciate how important this invention could be. I read about something called Sony's, hold on, what's the name of it? It's called Sony's Rion Pocket, is what they call it. What it is a tiny, it's smaller than a cell phone, air conditioner that fits in the back of your shirt. They make little special shirts that have a little pocket right between your shoulder blades, and you put the little air conditioner in there, and it connects to your phone, and you can air condition yourself. And
that is real weird.
Yeah, no, and I just want a shirt that's air conditioned. That sounds great.
I'm very curious how it works, how well it works, what I mean.
I'm curious about it too. And so I looked into it. First of all, it costs about $120, but the shirt is only $17, so that's not too bad. Battery life's going to need to get better for it to be the best thing that ever happened. But then I found out where this came from. So this came from a program called First Flight. And this is something that Sony has created that is essentially an internal Kickstarter for Sony.
Kickstarter inside of Sony?
Yeah, so Sony set up a Kickstarter type service just for their own employees that wanted to develop new stuff, that wanted to develop new products. And so this is one of them. And literally they're showing like thermal things. So, and I mean, unfortunately it's in Japanese. So I had to kind of, there was some translation issues. There was some things that happened, but I got a general sense of what's happening here. And it's literally saying like a 13 Celsius degree difference between somebody who's wearing it, like a thermal reading of their back, somebody's wearing it, somebody's not. 13 Celsius is significant. That's not like, man, that's you would feel much better.
Yeah,
especially
that's a pretty big difference.
Yeah, if we were at work, you would definitely feel much better. But
I needed that today. I got a little overheated today. Pretty bad.
So on this site, they have crazy stuff. Some of it sounds awesome. There's one thing, and okay, first of all, badly translated, but I think the names are all translated, so it's fine. Health server. It looks like...
Okay, what site is this again?
It's called firstflight.sony.com. And I mean, there's a hyphen and stuff. I could put it in chat or something. But basically, health server is this thing where every day you walk up to it, it looks like a little... It almost looks like... I don't know, high-tech toaster oven, just like a little console thing. And you go up to it, and you put your thumbs on it, and it reads your kind of like biometrics or whatever they call that. And it is a supplement dispenser. And so it puts out liquid supplement, like vitamin supplements, based on what you particularly need in a liquid form. And you just put it in your food or you put it in your water. And so every day you get custom fit vitamin supplements based on how you're feeling that day. And inside of it looks like little like printer toner cartridges that have vitamins in them. And it just like makes you a little mix and puts it out there. And that one was successfully fundraised. They have one called
nuts.
They have one called Newpathy, which looks like and this one was really hard to decipher because I went to their promotional video and I turned on captions and then I translated the captions to English, but it's auto translate. So it's not right. Like, I'll just say that at some point they had the word enema in there, and there's no way that's what they meant to say. There's no chance. Don't know. I'm pretty sure. Because what it is, it looks like a futuristic mood ring for dogs. So it's got like a little harness thing with a little light indicator on the back, and I think if your dog is anxious, it like turns red. And like if your dog's happy, it's like green. And so it helps you better communicate with your dog and how they're feeling by reading its like biometrics.
Interesting.
And so basically they have all this cool stuff. They have like, it looks like an AR tabletop projector. So like,
yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now. The augmented reality one.
Our auto mod is questioning Josh's last comment. You might have to throw it in there for that. I'll allow it. I'll allow that. It is not. I'm telling you, the enema was not supposed to be on there. But basically, it's like a back harness thing. They have all kinds of weird stuff. Like one of the things they have on one of their newer ones, it looks like a home, like mammogram. So like a
yes.
It's I don't know. Like they
that
have
one keeps coming up large on the top thing.
It's because it just knows you.
No, dang it.
The one at the bottom, it looks like a little like. It looks like a fire steel almost, but it's a baby low jack. It's like this little tag that you can put on your kids, and like you can see like where they are on GPS.
The baby low jack.
I mean, I doubt they'll use that in their marketing, but that's what it is. But no, it's just really cool that not only is Sony doing everything Sony's doing as like a company, but they have enough people there that are doing like inventive things that they wanted to set up this Kickstarter, and then you get cool stuff like the back. The Rion Pocket personal air conditioner.
Rion Pocket. So talking about really cool things, I found an article about one of my favorite authors, Ernest Hemingway. And it has It's literally just a list. It's a Time magazine article, and it's a list of all the times that Hemingway cheated death because he had a ridiculous life. I mean, he is, granted, he was definitely called out for a lot of the things. He was very macho. I mean, you talk about what is it, toxic masculinity. I think probably he could probably be in the category. But the dude,
Oh no, he was a writer. He was an artistic guy.
Stuff.
He was like very typical like masculinity for sure.
He was shredded by an Australian mortar shell because he was in the war during World War One. He was so badly wounded in a burst of shell fire that he felt life slip from his body, like you pull a silk handkerchief out of a pocket by one corner and then returned. He emerged with 237 bits of shrapnel, an aluminum kneecap, and 2 Italian decorations.
Oh, that's
because he was like a
farewell to arms. That was the inspiration for that, I'm guessing.
Yeah, because he was an
ambulance driver. Right? Mm-hmm.
He was an ambulance driver for the Red Cross. This one is nuts. He was shot while wrangling a shark.
Did the shark shoot him?
No, he shot himself trying to shoot the shark. Yes, the sharks with lasers.
Yeah, the shark was like, no, you're not wrangling me.
In a 1935 dispatch for Esquire, on being shot again, oh God, Hemingway doles out advice on how best to kill a large animal. Shoot it in the brain if it's close, and the heart if it's far, or the spine if you need to stop it instantly. He was inspired to offer these instructions, he writes, on account of just having shot himself in the calves of both legs while attempting to gaff a shark on a fishing trip off Key West.
How do you shoot through both calves?
He shot through both of his calves while trying to shoot a shark.
I literally don't know how the physics of that work.
This one, I'm not going to read the whole section of it, but he had the idea, and he actually put it into action, where he was going to, on his private boat that he had, near Key West, he was going to hunt for German subs with his fishing boat. He had gotten like grenades and the submachine gun, and he would drive his boat around, and his plan was, if he saw a sub come up, he was going to attack it by himself. This is his quote. I do want to read the quote. He would attack the U-boat suddenly and unexpectedly, and then run for it. That's what it is.
And then run for it.
It says Hemingway never had the opportunity to put his reckless plan into action.
Never got the chance to attack a U-boat by hand.
And this is the one that Zach asked. He asked me off mic if this was in here, because it's crazy, and it's 4 and 5, because he was downed in a plane. He was basically in a plane crash twice. While on an African safari in 1954, Hemingway survived 2 plane crashes in 2 days. In the first, a single-engine Cessna carrying Hemingway and his wife crashed when the pilot attempted an emergency landing to avoid hitting a flock of ibises. Forced to choose between a sandpit with 6 crocodiles lay basking in the sun or an elephant track through thick scrub, the pilot chose the scrub. They spent the night in the jungle surrounded by elephants. The next day, the Hemingways boarded another small plane, which crashed and caught on fire. Both were seriously injured, although not quite badly enough to warrant the many newspaper headlines reporting their death, because a lot of people actually thought they died on that one. But Hemingway walked out of the jungle in high spirits, carrying a bunch of bananas and a bottle of gin, and was quoted, possibly even correctly, as saying, "My luck, she is running very good." So he gets he crashes twice, and then everyone thinks he's dead, and he just is seen walking out of the jungle with a bunch of bananas and a bottle of gin. And he says, "Man, I got some good luck."
Yeah, there's only I don't really know that anybody else could pull off that, but I definitely get a mental image that's amazing of him doing that. So I discovered something interesting. They are running a study that is trying to figure out how our brains work when we're shopping. So they essentially ran people through an MRI scanner. They are trying to simulate like a 80 euros. I'm trying to think. It's like over $100, I think, right? Or no, it's the other way. No, that's right. It's more than dollars. But they essentially wanted.
It's 93.25 United States dollars.
Gotcha. So right about 100. Sweet. Basically, they're trying to figure out the rational versus emotional workings of the brain while this is happening, and it's led by a university, and then also it's backed by multinational grocery and healthcare companies. So a lot of people are curious about this. Grocery companies because they want to more effectively sell. Everybody else because they want to understand it. We know from previous research that the brain behaves illogically when faced with the sort of information overload that shoppers are faced with in a typical supermarket. It has shown us that nearly 20% of shoppers are likely to put special offers in their basket, even if they're more expensive than the normal product. And we know that nearly half of shoppers ignore buy one get one free items and choose only one. Now we have a reliable and scientific way of validating this research and understanding exactly what's happening in the brain during the weekly shop. And the preliminary research, this is where it gets interesting, suggests that consumers only respond rationally and mathematically for the first 23 minutes of their shop, after which they begin to think with the emotional part of their brain, which can only guess at the value for money. They also indicate that after 40 minutes,
I've been there. I go grocery shopping, and after 20 minutes, I'm like, dang it, I don't even care. I just want to get this stuff done and go home.
Yep, it's like, just put it in. It's fine. I don't care. After 40 minutes, the time taken for a typical weekly shop, the brain becomes tired and effectively shuts down, ceasing to form rational thoughts altogether.
For sure. Mm-hmm.
So this explains why by the end of your IKEA trip, you're going to buy something stupid. There's going to be something you didn't need. It's not...
Why do we have so many freaking meatballs?
Meatballs. No, you got to get the meatballs right in the middle. You got to try and reset the thought times. No, but I just thought it was really interesting. And I also thought about this because I wanted to buy something amazing. I saw this thing that's literally, it looks like, you know how they have those shaker things for like powder mixes where you shake them up?
Protein mixes? Yeah.
It looks kind of like that, but it is the opposite of that because it's not supposed to be healthy. What it is it looks like a shaker, and it's got like, it looks more like an infuser, you know what I mean? That has like the drop down thing you put the infuser thing in, but the drop down is filled with cereal, and you fill up the outside with milk. And when you tip it back, they mix at the moment they go into your mouth.
What?
Yeah. And so
milk and cereal.
Yeah, literally you can just have this cup and every single sip is perfectly crunchy, freshly milked. That sounds terrible. Freshly milked cereal. But then I was like, you know what? I'm not thinking with my rational brain.
That is not your rational brain. That sounds like something from Sky Mall.
It does, but don't act like you don't. Like, can you imagine if right now you had just a cup of Cinnamon Toast Crunch sitting there that you could just take a sip out of?
And you don't have to worry about eating it really fast because it'll get soggy? Yeah,
I know.
Seems amazing.
Yeah, it's very specific, and I did not buy it. But I was like, I'd try it. If someone sent it to me for free, I would try it out for sure.
Awesome.
But yeah,
if you get one, bring it to work because I want to try it too.
Yeah, I mean, I can get one. I'll send one to Josh too because he's curious. But yeah, that's all of our normal discoveries for the week. But I do have another band. Just the other week, I talked to a local band from St. Pete called La Lucha, and they just put out a new album. They're a fantastic jazz band, and we've actually featured them on Todd's before, but I got in touch with them for Creators Cove, so I wanted to bring it back, especially because their new album's great. But in general, thanks everybody for listening. Thanks everybody who's joined the live stream. We've been live streaming every week for a little bit now, and we'd love to have you join the live stream so you could join the conversation with us. Tell you how you feel about random things we've discovered. Tell us random things you've discovered throughout the week. We have a Facebook group where you can do basically the same thing. You can let us know anything you've discovered, and we have a fun time in there. But we'd love for you to get in touch, and we really appreciate you listening.
Yeah, and like Zach said, we're streaming at all the places. So whatever is the easiest one for you to check out, YouTube, Twitch, and also in our Facebook club, the Podcast Discovery Club. We'd love to see you on any of those places, or just listen to the podcast and then hit us up on socials.
But yeah, thanks so much for listening. And now, without any further ado, this is from their new album, Everybody Wants to Rule the World by La Lucha. This song is called The Sundering.
La Lucha!
All right, thanks.
All right.
Thanks everybody for jumping in the live stream. We appreciate it. It's great
I'm
to
excited
have you.
to play some games. What, Josh? Are you ready to play some games?
Yeah, you ready for Overwatch, Josh?
I'm gonna play some games.
Probably hop on the Twiggly Discord.
Yep. All right, guys. So those that are watching the live stream, we are going to basically the only one that's gonna close because we can't play our music is Facebook because Facebook's mean. So we're gonna be over on YouTube and Twitch playing some video games with our friends, and you're welcome to join in. If not, then we will see you guys next week.
And yeah, thanks so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Bye, everybody.
Bye.